give an update for the channel and what's coming around the bend here. My wife and I just had our third child, so we've been real busy with all of the things associated with that. And I've been kind of prepping for a whole bunch of projects, but I haven't had a bunch of time to work on them yet, so I've got a lot of different projects coming around the bend that I will be shooting videos of. I have before me 4 Mora knives. Before these 4, I had never owned a Mora knife before. I didn't really know what to expect. So I wanted to shoot a quick video of my first impressions of these, and then I am going to kind of do some tune-up on these and show you the steps that I'll go through to make them what I think is a little bit more usable. First, well, these 3 I actually purchased in a package deal off Amazon. It was a great price. I couldn't actually believe how affordable it was. They came out to like $9 a piece when I bought them in a package. So I have a Mora All Around, a Companion. I don't know if you can read those tags. It's a Companion. And a Mora Robust. And then this one is the Light My Fire, and it's a little different. Not only in that it has the fire steel in the handle, but the blade grind on this one is different. It's narrower at the belly. So, first impressions. I knew Moras were inexpensive, and I've owned knives in this price range before. While the materials in those knives may have been cheaper, I found that the Mora's quality control actually left something to be desired, and I was quite shocked, actually. You know, you think that a knife from Sweden should have a little bit better quality control. So the blades themselves, the edge, for the most part seemed good. I'll actually cut some paper and show you where the issues are with some of these. But the issue that I found, and I don't know if I can possibly get that to focus, but the spines of these knives are junk. The blades are basically stamped into their rough form and then ground, and they didn't bother to grind the spines on all except for the Light My Fire. The Light My Fire spine is very good. It is perfectly square and sharp and filed down and nice. The rest of these, well, the All Around and the Companion is horrible. I'll adjust the camera and give you a close-up of that. But the Companion, it could actually hurt you if you just ran your finger along the spine. It's so jagged. The stamping extra is just ridiculous. The Robust, however, has a nice smooth spine, although the edges are round. I mean, there's no way that, well, I can't say no way. That is not going to be very good at scraping anything, fire steel, scraping bark off a stick, nothing. It's way too rounded off. So that's got to be dealt with to make it reasonably good for bushcraft. These sheaths are junk, in my opinion. This is kind of a cool thing, though. I mean, if you wanted to carry 2 knives and not, I mean, you're going to lose it if it bumps something. Well, it's kind of a cool idea to be able to carry your Companion with another knife. But the fact that it just, you know, need I say more? I think we'll see a little burr, yeah. I can see it right where my fingers come together there. There is a burr at the end of the blade. Actually, not even a burr, a nick, an imperfection in the grind. So that catches on the paper, and you can kind of make it out. Right there, it's glinting. I have not used this knife. No. So here is the Companion. I think we may see something similar here. Yeah. Something similar is going on here. Yeah, right in that region. And I think we'll probably be able to see it. Maybe not so good on camera. Yep, there's another nick right in that same region. You can see it glinting there. I think there's actually a pretty good wire edge, sort of a burr, in this region of the blade too. And now we got the Robust, thicker blade on the Robust, and this one I think came with similar issues. Yeah, taking a lot of effort there. It's catching, hanging up. Yeah, not good. Let's take a look here. Yeah, right in here. Adjust the light a little, see if we can get a little better here. Right where my fingers come together there, you can see two little nicks. Take that back, dust from the paper. Yeah. Definitely, the tip is flat. You can see it all the way along there. It's just, there's a flat spot at the tip. It's hard to see on camera, but there's another defect in the grind here. Not terrible. If you were cutting wood, you probably wouldn't hardly notice. Do the Light My Fire here. The Light My Fire is actually, it seems to be a thinner blade. You can see that spine is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that spine. It's great. It's square. I mean, it is just sharp. Nice and sharp down the entire length of the blade. All the way to the end. It's effortless. Beautiful. Good. Right here at my fingernail, it's just a wire edge, like a little burr, but it's not bad. It's not that it's not sharp. Oh, and then that same problem. Right there. I wonder if they put these in some sort of vertical holder at the grinding station after they get them ground, and the one that they're using dings it pinches the blade or something in there. I mean, they can't say these were all ground at the same station. They probably weren't. They're probably each individually ground at their own station, but something is happening in the process. Maybe it's the sheaths. Maybe they're banging against the bottom of the sheath. I don't know. But they all have, every single one of them has a ding in the blade right at the end. Right, that part that's got to be sharp. When you need a sharp point, that's got to be sharp. And they're all dinged and flattened over. So this one's kind of cool. If you haven't seen this, I hadn't really. I mean, I'd seen it in a couple of videos, but give that little, what is that? Clockwise turn, pull it out, and you get a fire steel right there. And you can buy replacements for these if you wear it out, which is pretty slick. Pretty positive little lock in there, so it's not going to just pop out on you. And of course, good marketing right here. I selected a single cut file, mainly because I don't want to be too aggressive. I want to make sure that I keep it really square and I don't take away too much material. So I'm just going to gently file here. I'm not putting a ton of pressure on this. Now the blade isn't straight. The spine is not straight all the way down. There's this little crook in it. So starting with that front part, just working it. I'm doing a diagonal motion across the file and just trying not to create a crown, which is what I'm really seeing is half the blade is much more proud than the other half. So I really have to remove a lot of material on that side to get it flattened out, square it off. But I can see that crest sort of moving across as I bring it down. Now I've effectively finished the side up here, or the end at the tip, and I'm just trying to work the half of the blade between the handle and the crook. And I'm lifting the file at the end of the stroke. This area back here, I'm probably just going to have to come almost straight across the blade. It's hard to judge if I'm keeping my file square or not. It's real hard to judge. Not doing a ton. I mean, we're not trying to reprofile the knife here. The side that's closer to the camera is still a little bit proud. It looks shinier there where I've filed it and not the far side. So I got a little more to do on the tip end. This end's looking really good. It's even at least. You can see my file marks, but from that crook to the tip, got just a little bit more to do. But I'm so far very happy with the result. So I've set the knife into the cardboard so that this half is below the edge of the cardboard, and only the half that I want to work is up. So lightly. I feel like that's very good for a first step. Very, very good for a first step. That is nice and square on that edge. Okay, so here's, I was crossing the knife this way, and this edge, very keen. This edge is not as keen. This was also the proud edge on this side, which means it's farther finished. And this edge, I'm probably, it's still feeling like, yeah, it's still feeling like it up until here, that it is still rounded. Really should have probably taped this blade. Getting this in and out of the vise. It's just a little bit scary. You don't want to slip, you know, and do damage. I wonder if I can do it, if I can even do it this direction. Yeah, I can do that. I can see where there we go. You can see the shining all the way across. That's giving you an indication that you're on there job of making it square than making it round. Come back towards me here. Turn the file so the handle is away and I'm pulling towards me, drawing ever so slightly. And in this case, on that back edge, on that back edge of the spine of the knife, having a little bit of a burr off of each side to work for you, it's not a bad thing, you know. Having it beveled down and real smooth and sleek, like you'd see a lot of modern things these days, that's just for looks. It doesn't help you do anything. Yeah, nice and keen. It's kind of biting my finger as I pluck it here. The other side, not so much. So I guess I really do want to. It's getting there. Yeah, it's getting there. It needs a couple more strokes, I think. Really liking the process. I know these knives are cheap, and people are probably going to comment thinking, why are you spending all this effort fine-tuning a $9, $10 knife? Well, that's a good question. It's about the process. It's about, for me anyway, the process, learning. I want to make high-quality knives. I don't want to ever turn out a product that comes like this came from the factory. These are going to be for use in my own kit, and yeah, they were affordable, and I think with a little bit of fine-tuning they'll be really fine, and belie the affordability factor, which I can't say is a bad thing, you know? Get something for $9 or $10 that can be put to For the next step, we will touch up the edges. Now, I debated whether or not to, or I've been debating, I guess, whether or not to take some of these straight to the strop or to take them to a whetstone. The ones that are pretty nice, I think I'll go straight to the strop. So this is the Robust. It probably needs the stone. This is the, what is that? The Companion. It needs the stone. This one actually has a micro bevel on it. The Light My Fire actually comes with a micro bevel or even a secondary bevel. It's not even all that micro when you look at it. And so I think I'll just take that straight to the strop. It was in pretty good shape. It's also stainless. It's going to wear more, so I don't want to sharpen a brand new knife too much. We'll set these aside for the next step. These we're going to take to the stone. Can't tell I'm tired. Get that good and centered here. If you're wondering what all this stuff is here for, you probably aren't. But if you are, you'll have to wait and see, because that's going to be a later video. I'm going to make something. So I'll put a link to it at the end of this video when I actually get this one done and get that one done. So I bought a couple of waterstones off of Amazon. This is actually a 6,000. These knives are already sharp. You guys saw the paper cutting. I just want to clean up a couple of little burr edges. So I am not a waterstone expert. There is a guy on YouTube, I think his name is Waco. His channel name is virtuovice, Japanese gentleman, who does some really interesting things with knives and is an expert with a waterstone. And so I definitely encourage you to check him out. I'll tag him in the video. So I've been watching his videos for a while, and so I hope I get this right on the first try. If not, I don't call this channel Hard Way Learnt for nothing. So here goes. So I'm just finding the bevel, And that's the nice thing about a Scandi grind, is the bevel is nice and wide, so you can really feel that you've got the angle correct. And you're definitely seeing metal come off there, so you know it's cutting. It's 2. Well, been soaking the stone for an hour or more. I also have a Nagara stone on order, but I don't have it yet. It actually got delivered on Friday at my office, and I forgot it there. And look, this 6,000 grit stone is really just mirror polishing it. That slight wire edge that I was seeing is now invisible, which is good. Am I on camera? I need to keep checking that. The wire edge that I was seeing is now invisible. It's taken on quite a bit of polish. If I had my Nagara stone, I'm sure it would take on even more of a polish. So that one, I think, is ready for the strop. Go ahead and dunk this again. The next thing I'm going to do is take out, I've got an old belt, and then I put it rough side up. This was actually one of my grandpa's belts. Got some white polishing compound here. This is on camera and the light works and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm just going to take it and now this will actually develop a little bit of a micro bevel on the edge as well as it polishes out. Cutting the belt. This looks sharp. Tiny little microscopic micro bevel develops from this. But that is just hair popping sharp. I can feel it. So haven't really made a lot of videos lately, since about late October. Just, since early October, I guess. Been busy. Too busy for making YouTube videos. Wife and I had our 3rd child, and work has been crazy busy, which is good. We need it, you know, babies are expensive, and so YouTube kind of took a back burner, and yeah, That's just the way it goes. If you want to make some more videos, like I said, I got this other project sitting here that I need to figure out a couple more items in the design and kind of start putting it together. You know, and honestly, I still see the defect toward the tip in this one. Man, Stropping brought it right out. Let's see here. Let's see if we can get this sorted. Now, going straight to the high grit here is not something I would do on a knife I'd been using. I'd definitely start with the lower grit, work my way up. The sharpening would not be very effective if you were coming in here with a knife with a lot of use on it. I just think this little defect there is so minute, and really I think it's just the wire edge is kind of rolled, and so you kind of see a little glint there. But we'll see it anymore. I don't know if you could ever see it on camera, but there is just a little bit of a shiny spot. When you look at the edge of a knife, if you can see the edge, that edge is not sharp. And I could definitely see an edge in a little spot there. So that's when you know you need to work that out. And that looks great. The micro bevel is there now. You can definitely see it in the glint, but that's a micro bevel, not a dull edge. That is a hair-popping sharp edge. So I'm fairly happy with that at this point. I'm going to do some testing on these and make sure that they pass the cut test. Strap this guy up here. So I bought these Mora knives to really check out Mora. I'd never owned a Mora before. I see a lot of guys on YouTube have them. They're, for the most part, most of them are very affordable. I was actually a little surprised. I've owned a lot of knives in this price range, you know, since I was a kid. You know, you go buy a $20, $30 knife, and I've never, ever bought a knife that was in as poor a shape as these were out of the box. I was a little bit stunned, honestly. The edges were sharp to a point, but then there were defects in almost all the edges, where they'd catch on a paper cut test. Now this one was the dullest of all of them by far, but it has that micro bevel on it. I guess I could take it to a coarser stone and work that micro bevel out completely. I didn't have to file the spine of this knife at all. They specifically sell this knife to be a striker for its integral fire steel, which is pretty slick to have that. I think that's a great little tool. But the edge was definitely the dullest of all of them, and the bevel is funky. It's very coarsely ground and feels like a hollow ground, where the other ones feel like flat. So just different. I didn't know what to expect. Even having seen a lot of videos on YouTube, I think I didn't know to expect knives that were really not ready to use out of the box, and that had such, honestly, weak quality control. I hope that just stropping this gets it into shape, because it's definitely been sharpened on a wheel, which can definitely, any kind of motorized sharpening, even very good ones, I've always seen will develop a wire edge or a burr more than a flat sharpener will. That's just my opinion, but I think that holds true. Maybe some of you guys out there feel that way too. I don't know if I'm happy with that off the strop. Doesn't feel all that hair-poppingly sharp like my other three do here. Let's kind of scrub that metal off of there. So I'm going to give it a pass on here too. Just see. Oh man, I feel it biting like crazy because that's so coarsely ground. Yeah, all that metal coming off. Is that even on camera? That's why I bought a shock-proof camera, ladies and gentlemen, and we hope that it really is. That's my face you're looking at right now, if you couldn't tell. Probably hear those little wheels just spinning in there trying to focus. Let's see here. Zoom work at all? Ah. Wonder if my focus is busted. This is a JVC Vireo, I think it's a GZR70, something like that. Supposed to be shockproof, waterproof, freeze-proof, fog-proof, everything-proof. They call it quad-proof. We'll see if the focus still works. It'll be interesting. So I forgot my tripod in the house, other than my Gorilla Pod. And drop your camera. If it still works, that's a good thing, but tell you what, I don't like dropping my camera. It doesn't make me feel good, you know? It's kind of a sinking feeling of dollar cash register tallies going off, you know? These things aren't cheap. That's just taking off some of that concavity in the hollow grind that's happened on this knife from the factory. So kind of decided I wanted to see if I could touch this one up a little bit better. This one's stainless, not carbon steel. So it has a very different feel on the stone even. It feels like soft. The only way I can describe it. The steel feels soft compared to those nice carbon steel versions, which the steel was really biting against the stone. You could feel it. This just feels like you're mushing it around. Whew. Am I on camera? Because that's a bit sharper. Yeah. We'll strop that and call it good. Can't really see the viewfinder on my camera because of the glare. So I hope I'm in frame. Had to reposition. Got my camera sitting on my Gorilla Pod on top of the my bandsaw. Not exactly secure. Yeah, when I screw up on this strop, this thing bites right in like that strop is made of. Keep saying butter, but it fits. That's a thing of beauty, honestly. You can see the micro bevel is actually, this bevel's actually shrunk quite a bit. That primary, very beginning bevel, it was very visible. I wouldn't even have called it a micro bevel. But you can see where, and I hope it's focusing for you. You can see where the stone bit at the edge of the bevel, and then again at the cutting edge, and that's because that's a hollow grind, and it really didn't touch in between. As this gets sharpened and that bevel shrinks from being sharpened, I'm sure that those grinding marks will start to go away, but for right now it is what it is. Yeah, it feels great. So, grab a piece of paper and test these guys out. Start with the Light My Fire. I think I said this earlier. When you're doing a cut test, try and cut right along the edge without folding the paper. To me, that shows you're a knife sharp. I can cut straight down through any paper and use the paper's own rigidity to prevent the knife from biting and not cutting. But if you're cutting a tiny little piece, the paper's rigidity is not really helping you much. See? That's soft steel for you. We cut 4 or 5 times and it's lost just a little bit of its edge. A quick strop will bring it right back, I'm sure. But that down toward the handle, we lost just that very finest. Yep, see? No problem the first 5 or 6 cuts, but now we're getting into, we've lost something already. That's the feeling I get anyway. I'm sure somebody in comments will disagree, and a Mora fanboy will tell me they're the best knives ever. I don't doubt that they're good knives, honestly. I think they probably are very good knives, especially for the price. I mean, this knife, I think it was $32 or something like that. Pardon me, it's been a little while since I bought it, and I don't remember exactly. 28, maybe 26, actually. Now my memory's starting to come back. This one might have been 28 because the color was a little bit more desirable. The green one, or the all gray one, I think, was 26. I'm sure it's a very good knife for the money. That's not the problem. It's a stainless steel, which has its purpose. I mean, if I was going to go out on a coastal trek, I don't think I would want to take a carbon steel knife or anything that might rust. And I live in a coastal state, so that's something to think about. It's been a dream of mine to hike the Nootka Trail up on Vancouver Island, or sorry, on Nootka Island. Sort of circumnavigate Nootka Island. But that'll be a very wet coastal trip, so that may be a knife that I would take. We'll see. Let's see here. Let's go to the Robust. This knife, I really like the feel of it. I really like the weight of it. This may become one of my favorites very shortly. Let's see what we can do on a cut test here. No, fail. I did not get that edge tuned right. So I wonder what went wrong there. May very well be that I don't know how to use a waterstone very well. Let's try the other edge here. Okay, it's not horrible, but it didn't just peel that paper in two down its entire length, and it may have just been a little bit of a burr, because now I'm doing fairly well. I think right at the corner is my problem. Right in here, and I actually see it. When I look at it, I can see a little bit of a shiny spot right at the edge that's not in tune with the rest of the edge. There's a little bit of micro bevel all along this edge, but that spot is not right. So that's the problem with this one, is I didn't get right in the corner. Up here it's a little better. We'll cut down through the paper for all you paper cut purists on camera. I hope so. Yeah, I didn't get this edge tuned right. That's why we test. And like I said, you know what? Hard way learnt channel. I will absolutely show that in the video. I do not, when I make a mistake, and I'm going to take that one back to the stone and keep going there. When I make a mistake, I do not sugarcoat it. Now, I didn't touch this knife. I didn't touch it on the stone, and I didn't touch it on the strop. So I still need to do that one. So both of those are going back to the strop and the stone. Let's try this one. This is the All Around. Oh, that's like butter. It really is. That is a thing of beauty. All the way down its length is perfection. And when you can go fast through something, see it? When you go fast through this, it kind of tells you something about the edge, I think, that it's polished. And this paper's been in my garage, I think, like my first paper test paper was. And if you can hear, it's raining hard. I found a leak in my roof, so I got to get working on that. But that is clean. That paper would not be any cleaner if it was cut on a mat with a razor knife against the mat. That is extremely clean. So that one I don't need to touch. That one's done. Let's fix these other guys up. That's great. Be careful just touching some of these. Okay, so the Companion. Let's give this a try and not cut my finger here. that's the Robust. Again, having a little bit of an issue. Well, alright, well. Just went for a fresh sheet of paper because that one was pretty chewed up, so let's take a shot here. Yeah, it's just not cutting. That is not sharp. I mean, it's sharp, but it's not paper cut test sharp. Okay, that one needs more work. This is the Companion. This one feels sharp, I tell you. Oh yeah. You see the difference? I mean, I know I messed up that Robust because it doesn't cut. This one, I couldn't touch this to the paper and keep it from cutting. I mean, let's try and do something fancy here. Sideways, so it doubled over. I can feel it biting in. Yeah. Instead of two pieces, so magazine paper would be better for this test because it's slicker. But see there, I've got it doubled over. So if I pushed on this, it would just fold it up, right? But if I do that and it cuts through it, that's pretty sharp. So I did pretty good on that one. That was the last one I did. So I wonder if I kind of screwed up the Robust from the get-go. Now the Robust is a much thicker blade, and I know I'm going back to the file with that for that edge because that's just not done. Okay, so I'm just going to hit these with some WD-40. That's what I have. WD-40 is not a great lubricant. It will actually let you down in that department in most cases, but is great for being a hydrophobic compound. Hydrophobic means that it's non-polar enough and a low viscosity enough to chase water off of metal. That's the situation that we've got here. Is we've got metal that's been exposed to water, and we need to get that water off, and every bit of it that's down in the cracks and crevices. Now I'm not going to town to wipe this clean. I'm actually going to leave a small coating of it on there. WD-40 doesn't leave a great coating behind, honestly, I don't think. It's kind of there and then it's gone. It evaporates, or just its viscosity is so low that it's easily wiped away. Been meaning to pick up some Ballistol. See, a lot of guys say that stuff is great. Guys that I trust on YouTube, so I'm going to give that a shot, but I just haven't gotten around to buying it, so doing what we got here. While I am oiling these up, let's recap some of the lessons learned from this process. Number one for me was if you're going to file the spine of your knife, put your light over to the side at about a 45-degree angle. What that showed me when I did that was if I was not holding my file perfectly flat and perpendicular, well, if I was not holding it at the same angle as the metal currently was, I would develop a line running along the knife. As I filed, I'd see a line, and I'd see that line move from side to side as I flattened out the file. There isn't really a way to tell if you're square, but you can tell if you're consistent. Consistent's almost more important than square. Even if you had it at a little bit of an angle, if it was consistently flat all the way across, that's going to be much better for striking a fire steel than with a ridge down the middle that just runs along your fire steel and does not generate any sparks. So definitely have the light off to the side at about a 45-degree angle down, and you'll be able to see that line. Not sure what I was doing wrong on the Robust, why it took so long to get a good edge on it. Could be that, honestly, it may have very well needed a coarser stone to start out than the 6000, and so it took longer to work up a good edge. It very well may have needed more work than the other ones, and so that's definitely a possibility, I think. But it definitely took more work. Took a second try, even. So yeah, hope you learned something about Mora knives and how to set them up to start out, tune them up even. I know I did during the process of making this video and in buying these Mora knives. I'm happy with them for the price. I'm very happy with them for the price. I got actually a great deal on these as a package off of Amazon. I don't remember the total. This one was not included in the package. This one I purchased separately, but the other three were in a bundle on Amazon, and I want to say it was $38 or $40, something like that, for three, which was a smoking deal in my opinion. They could have come very dull, and I would have still been happy with the price. So that's not a problem. It's just a matter of kind of knowing what you're in for and planning to spend a little bit of time tuning them up, which has been kind of enjoyable in itself. So I don't begrudge Mora the couple of tiny little defects, and most users, casual users anyway, probably would never notice those things. They just use them and they'd go right on their way. Or if you're just buying a knife for a utility purpose, you're going to put it on your tool belt and cut linoleum with it or something, you're not going to notice those burrs, not one bit. And then when you sharpen it up, you're going to solve or create whatever problems you do. So it's not going to be a problem. But it's definitely been interesting to see how they come from the factory. I don't think I've ever seen on YouTube anybody who went through that process, at least in a group of them. I've seen a couple of guys look at them from the start. I think really this Robust is going to be my new favorite, honestly. The weight is almost perfect. If it's really it's just a matter of how it holds up at this point. And it's much thicker of a blade than all of the other ones, and the size even. Let's do a length comparison here because I'm not sure. Yeah, it's maybe a millimeter longer than some of the other ones. I'm noticing my file kind of dinged up the back corner of a couple of these, which is okay. Hard plastic material. But I kind of think I'm going to do a leather sheath for the Robust, at least, maybe one or two of the other ones. It's going to be good practice for me on leather work, but I don't really like these plastic sheaths. They just seem flimsy to me. The belt clips seem like they could break or even just open and come off your belt, which I don't like. I want a closed loop around my belt that has no chance of coming off.
or at least very little chance of coming off. This just doesn't seem like it's that. And then I've definitely seen people break the clips off of them on videos, or just put a knife in it and cut the clip right off, which just to me says it's just they're not worth a thing in the sheath department. But what do you expect for a $12 or $13 knife, really? So that'll be a later video. I'll put together a leather sheath or two, and I'll do some more waterstoning and get better at it. Like I said, I'm not an expert in that, so don't consider my waterstoning a expert how-to by any means. But it definitely provided some insight into the hardness of each of the steels in each of those knives, and sort of the edge geometries that they came with as well. Particularly the Light My Fire is very different. That was obviously ground on a wheel, because it had a hollow grind concavity to the bevel, and then a micro bevel, or not even a micro bevel, a smaller bevel at the primary cutting edge. So very different. Wouldn't be surprised at all if that's from a different factory altogether. It's a different type of steel. It's stainless versus carbon steel of all the others. So, but it's very different in terms of its edge geometry. But we'll see. This one actually also came with a pretty good scratch in the finish polish to it. Now it's sort of a, what do you call that? Brushed finish, but it definitely has a scratch across it that came that way from the factory. But just kind of what to expect with Mora knives. This has been Hard Way Learnt. Looking forward to making some more videos coming up soon. Hope you enjoyed this one. Please click like and subscribe. So thank you so much for listening to me ramble on.